Mes amis, Tim Blaise TV, moi, aujourd'hui, dimanche 1er mars 2026, monde l'enlevé en bas gros tension. Après attaque massive Etazini, ak Israël te lancé sur plusieurs cibles stratégiques dans Iran, région Moyen-Orient, tourner un baril pour côté explosion, missile, drone, blocage, d'où la fait quinquin, tout bagay a déroulé vite, on seul coup Tim Blaise TV, moi. Et pendant que monde l'a regardé missile qui traversé ciel Moyen-Orient, en pile, on a posé en question qui puis font passer politique sur tous les réseaux sociaux. Côté gen moun k'ap demandé est-ce que Bible a déjà parlé de ça? Côté Jésus te dit dans Matthieu 24, nous pral le temps de parler de la guerre, ak brûler la guerre, nation a levé contre nation. Mais Tim Blaise TV aujourd'hui Iran et Israël a pu changer attaque. Etazini entre directement Détroit Hormuz bloqué, prix l'huile monté, Nations Unies réunies en urgence, tellement bagay yo grave. Mais Tim Blaise TV moi gon l'autre question k'ap circuler dans l'église à travers monde. Côté gen moun k'ap demandé est-ce que ça c'est commencement? Ça prophète Ézéchiel te la guerre Gog ak Magog là. À côté dans livre Ézéchiel 38, yo parle de peste ancien non Iran, yo parle de alliance qui va lever contre Israël. Mon yo demandé est-ce que ça c'est juste politique? Au soit, est-ce que nous avons vu dans page prophétique qui était écrit plusieurs milliers années passées? Mais Tim Blaise TV moi prophétèz célestial retourner viral sur réseaux sociaux encore côté il était déjà prédit ça va passer entre Etazini ak Iran. Mais Tim Blaise TV moi avant ba nous entendre prophétèz célestial en entre dans objet sous guerre ça après ba quitter prophétèz là pour nous en pile nan nous connaît guerre ça a commencé 28 février 2026 là et bien après une nuit côté ciel il rentre li maintenant pour dire premier chiffre officiel yo commencé paraître côté gen plus passer 350 monde qui mourir qui fait voile dans pays sans chapeau plusieurs milliers blessés l'hôpital même envahi yo pas ka kembe moun yo encore yo di yo bouquet yo pas gen place ministère santé iranien fait connaître que système médical là en bas pression extrême et plusieurs sites enrichissement uranium avec des missiles balistiques détruits ça a une grosse implication sur capacité militaire Iran pour moi cap venir la Tim Blaise TV ça veut dire bagay cap grave Iran lui-même ni pas traité bois croisé pour la regarder ça cap passer depuis 12 jour matin l'armée iranienne lancé une grosse opération yo relé bande d'état dans désert et bien Tim Blaise TV yo voyé on la pli drone avec missile sous base militaire dans Qatar ak Irak, gen rapport qui parle de dégâts graves, gen même information qui circule sur tous les réseaux sociaux, côté gen 3 soldats américains qui mourent qui fait voile dans pays sans chapeau. Et Iran lui-même, il arrive fermer Détroit Hormuz, ça qui bloque tout gros bateau qui porter l'huile olive pour le monde, ça la cause une panique totale sur le marché international là. Ça veut dire plus passer 20% l'huile mondiale bloquée. Tant qu'il y a même yo été campé, assurance bateau lui même la monté dans ciel tellement lourd. Et ça c'est un coup de massif sur l'économie mondiale là et situation leader Iran. Gen gros confusion sur côté Ayatollah Ali Khamenei leader suprême dans côté tout le monde a demandé côté lié mais gen bri k'ap courir sur toutes les réseaux sociaux qui fait connaître que s'est établi non attaque qui vraiment grave sur résidence hier soir mais que télévision l'état Iran qu'a passé une vidéo coup de matin qui montre il a parlé à chef l'armée pour montrer qu'il y a vivre toujours il pas mourir et expert technologie yo a analysé vidéo pour yo si c'est une ancienne image ou bien si c'est AI et s'il mourir vraiment Tim Blaise TV au gouvernement qui a tombé ou soit l'armée a vinn plus radical toujours et depuis dans Malago président 𝐁𝐋𝐀𝐙𝐘-𝐓𝐕 même dit déclaré matin que opération c'est un succès total il fait connaître que États-Unis paré pour frapper pire toujours si on continue à voyer missile sur allié et Israël lui-même pas bon côté pas li mettre toute la bi dans niveau alerte maximum parce que yo peur pour groupe Hezbollah pas entrer dans guerre depuis pays Liban journée aujourd'hui et Congrès lui-même l'a demandé une réponse bien rapide parce que l'ambassade soldat américain ou mettait pression politique fort sous Maison Blanche et tout lui-même 𝐻𝐋𝐀𝐙𝐘 j'ai parlé des 9 bateaux iraniens qui coulaient mais c'est comme dans lui-même ni pour confirmer si c'est vrai ça montre une information parallèle et si marin Iran faibli yo ka servi plus à missile sous terre attaque sous bateau américain ka augmenté et gardien révolution yo même yo parler de vengeance côté yo ka utiliser missile programme chaque attaque sur intérêt américain globalement et ça dépasse une simple réponse militaire ça entre dans une dimension sacrée nationale idéologique et IEA avertit si Détroit Hormuz était fermé gaz ka monter dans tout pays pour pays par nous tant que Haïti nous capable dire gaz déjà chef ça ka vinn une catastrophe économique et United Nations Security Council après dans New York objectif là c'est éviter la Russie à la Chine entrer directement faire une pause diplomatique mettant sur lui même déjà dans pic là ça veut dire la Russie avec la Chine capable d'entrer. Tout le monde sur tout réseau social il fait connaître que c'est caché l'amour, mener parce que s'il t'arrive mourir, fait voile dans pays sans chapeau, ça qu'a fait Iran tomber dans des ordres. Ou soit mettre un militaire radical sous pouvoir. Côté groupe tant coup, Exbo là, a Hamas ka entrer plus direct dans dossier. En tout cas, tim des TV moi, cadre géopolitique région après dessiner devant nous. Monde dans lui-même ni sous yon fil, yon ti erreur calcul. Qu'elle ouvre porte pour la Russie, qu'elle mette la Chine dans le conflit, qu'elle bouleverse le marché financier mondial là, moi vengeance dans lui-même, nous continuons à répéter. Côté moun dit, y a tiré revanche, y a vengé. Moi force à lui-même sans pareil à répondre. Tim les TV moi, dimanche 1er mars 2026 là, li marqué yon tourment. On capable dire nous que nous pas non simple échange mais c'est encore nous non crise qui a changé pouvoir dans Iran, qui capable changer présidence Trump là, qui capable changer économie mondiale là, changer balance force mondiale là et plonger dans troisième guerre mondiale là. En tout cas, tim les TV moi, bagay yo en pile tête chargé, bagay yo en pile problème continue à monter à sens. En tout cas, tim les TV moi, j'aime te dire nous dans introduction vidéo prophétesse célestial t'es déjà prédit sur ça. Ma quitte noir prophétesse célestial pour nous comprendre tout petit détail toujours. En tout cas, tim les TV moi, c'était important pour me venir partager vidéo ensemble avec nous. M'a continuer mais c'est toute belle tim les TV qui toujours là pour supporter le travail ça, qui toujours là pour bailler love, qui toujours là pour partager vidéo à chaque fois moi pousser. Tim les TV moi big up pour nous moi nous en pile et nous même tout qui prend la peine tomber sur plateforme ça qui c'est Blazy TV. N'a pas invité au venir une belle team ça qui c'est belle team Blazy TV parce que nous parler de tout ça qui factualité. Abonnez à page follow page pour nous toujours au courant de tout ça qui passe team Blazy TV moi bisous pour nous.
With Iran saying America power slap. But then I told you that already. I told you that already like 5 years ago. I told you that the Iranians 5 years ago, Yah said to tell you, America, that the Iranians are done taking all nonsense, all braggadocio, all noise. Now, the way Americans filter armed conflicts is that they think, oh no, they can never fight us. They can never nuke us. Have you ever seen those fights between girls where their strength is evenly matched? And everybody walks away with an absolutely destroyed face, like flesh has been gouged out. You look like you have African tribal marks. Flesh will come out. You're going to pay a pretty penny for the doctor to put that flesh in. Might get infected. You might get face-eating bacteria. You never know how it'll go. That's how fights between people happen when you think that person is a cakewalk. And they do you in the greenest way possible. They will do you green, America, like the grass outside at the park. At this point for Iran, it's fight or die. And America doesn't have that same heart. America thinks it's still, I don't know, whatever they did with Iran in the 80s. I don't know what the name of the thing is called. The thing with the Olympics where they grabbed people or whatever it is. That's what America thinks. America thinks it's still the 80s. America thinks it's still, I don't know, the days of John F. Kennedy when there used to be at least some measure of favor here. It's not. For Iran, it's fight or die. For Iran, it's now just about protecting the name. It's just about Iran making a statement that they too are made under God's son and they have a right to be on this earth and breathe. America and Iran will also fight. Also a physical altercation, not just words. Iran will emerge the victor from that in terms of clear points. 1. This is because America is not expecting to be touched by any nation in terms of a physical fight, but she will be. Iran will touch her. Iran will draw blood. They will land blows, and for this alone, they will be respected and highly congratulated by the Arab countries surrounding them, as well as secretly by many of America's enemies. So the prophecy that I received, I think it was also 2020. It is called the cockfight. And it is almost a word-by-word reiteration of what I have just read, that Iran and America are not going to just have this thing that they've had going for the last 40 to 50 years. One person will make a speech from Washington and the other person will make a speech from the capital of Iran. It's not going to be like that. The Lord said that there's going to be actual physical interaction involving soldiers, and American soldiers will be killed in view of the fact that Iran will draw blood, physical blood. But the Lord says that Iran's greatest victory will be the fact that she is able to touch America and make her feel it. And for the fact that she will have the courage to do this, and she will also have the ability to do this. In the cockfight, the Lord showed that there is great fury in the heart of Iran. Now, when I speak of these nations and I just say America, Russia, Iran, understand that this is a nation composed of a leader, a leadership, and people. And when you do something against a nation, it touches the old women, it touches the grandfathers, it touches the youth who are at that time in life where they want opportunities, they want to be able to grow, they want to be able to travel and things like that. And when you crush a country the way America has crushed Iran and crushed Cuba, you build up a flame of hatred, not only in the progressive leaders that come over the seasons. For instance, the guy who's leading Iran now is probably not the same guy who was leading it when they had that Olympics incident and something like that. So people do get old, they die, leadership change. But when you have a specific international policy against a nation that you do not lift, that you do not move, you cultivate fury in the heart of that nation as one man against you. This does not mean that every person in that country will say, we hate this nation. But on a whole, if you take a poll, because of the way you have affected national pride, because of the way you have affected and basically shaped the kind of life that those people have access to, through sanctions, through punishment, through trade embargoes, through telling people at the United Nations, this is the boogeyman. If you trade with the boogeyman, you yourself will be counted as a boogeyman lover and you will be punished. Family, I am telling you the truth, because prophecy comes not to talk to the red side that you love or the blue side that you love. Prophecy comes to tell the truth. And these are the last of last years and days. I'm not saying that tomorrow the entire Master's Voice blog is going to fulfill itself. I'm saying that we are in the time, and the Lord is always telling me this with an urgency, that we are in the time where there is nothing that has been done in the dark that will not come to light. There is nothing that has happened in secret that will not be revealed. So for me to sit here and be disingenuous and be like, oh, I don't know if what they did is right. The policy of this nation is a crushing policy. And the vision that I will speak of in this will reveal that even if I were not here, or even if I were to just disappear off the planet tomorrow, God forbid, the Lord knows the truth of the nations. And he is speaking to the nations according to who they are. No nation can say, but it is not me. I have not done these things. I wipe my mouth and there's no evidence. All the evidence has been written by the watchers before I was born. So I am here to speak out now. The things in the darkness and the things that as a collective, this nation sat and stamped and said, it's okay, go overseas and do these things. Now God is here with the receipt, and somebody has to pay that receipt. So let the listeners of this channel understand that I am not here for any single man, woman, boy, or pet. I am here because the truth of the Lord will be spoken so that the nation can have a full apprehension. That means the full picture of how God in heaven sees things and why we will and are going through the things that we are. Let God be true and every man a liar. And so, when you dictate and when you pursue policy that crushes nations, eventually, even Nebuchadnezzar found this out, heaven will pursue policy that crushes you. And so, Iran will touch America. They're going to have some kind of fight, some kind of altercation. And when Iran draws blood, the Arab world is going to be extremely happy. They may show it visibly, they may not show it visibly. And not only that, but there are many people around the world, President Putin and President Xi, and I'm not naming or picking on them. It's all documented in the prophecy. Sorry, when I point this way, I'm pointing to my computer, which is off camera. Hello and welcome to the Master's Voice. I am Celestial and you're welcome to this channel. Please check the description box. We're continuing with the prophecies about the United States being involved in war. So please check the description box. If you need to pause and just get a brief idea of what each and every video is about, that will help you. So now we continue. This, I think, will be the final video for today. This video is going to be short, but a little different. The Lord has already proclaimed to the United States that there will be war in this country in the future. Not only a civil war, which is where her people clash along status lines, social lines. So you'll start to see things like the rich against the poor. You'll start to see racial divisions. You'll start to see class divisions. You'll start to see financial divisions. You'll start to see religious divisions and ideological divisions, such as we've seen, such as have surfaced to such a large extent with the recent presidential election. But eventually, all these differences, because Americans will stop dialoguing, they will stop being tolerant if they haven't stopped already. They will stop being understanding of one another. They will stop giving an ear to one another, and they will even stop allowing one another to have their own opinion. Because of so much head-butting, it's going to come to a place where Americans will actually pick up arms and go to war one against another. This will not be the only cause for this to happen. There's also going to be a lot of spiritual warfare that happens that causes such a thing to take place. But eventually, the peace that this nation should enjoy, and the peace that she has traditionally enjoyed for hundreds of years now, at least at home. America's fought wars, but she's always had the wherewithal and the wisdom, I would say, to fight them outside her territory. Eventually, there is going to come war to this territory, and that war is going to be very destructive in terms of loss of life, in terms of how much hatred of brother against brother there's going to be. But also, there's going to be invasion, which is war again fought here after that civil war, when other nations, powerful nations, Russia, China, and allies come in and invade the country. Before that, though, there are going to be a series of skirmishes, I should say. These are international conflicts that may result in shots fired, loss of life, or it will definitely be a war of words, threats, loud noises, such as we were seeing between America and Iran just before the coronavirus came and changed and shifted everybody's focus. So we could see that tensions were building there towards the end of last year. There was a war of words. Everybody was threatening everybody else. There was a serious war of words and even actions, trade sanctions and trade actions, one nation against another, the United States and China. So that kind of thing is going to happen, and this is what the Bible calls rumors of wars. So it's not an actual physical conflict. There's not exactly boots on the ground, but there's so much anger and so much negative talk going on in the international space. Policy breaks down, talks break down, negotiations break down, and basically you have two sets of citizens, one here in America and one wherever it may be, feeling very tense and not knowing what the future will hold. So this was a very brief look the Lord gave me. I finally was able to write the prophecy down on June 30th, 2019, and it's titled The Cockfight. So for those who don't know, I have a picture here of two very angry chickens and roosters, actually, aggressive male roosters. And in cockfighting, these roosters are not allowed to grow up normally. They grow up with a lot of poking. Basically, these roosters are not left in peace. They're always poked and prodded and just aggravated, so that they grow up with a very large amount of aggression, a lot more than your normal male rooster. They're very angry all the time and very easy to set off. And the reason these roosters are raised in these conditions is because they take place in a sport, an illegal sport in most countries. But for all that, it still happens even here. It's an underground sport called cockfighting, and basically people gather in a room or gather anywhere that the cops can't surprise them, and then they bring their roosters and they make the roosters fight each other, and they place bets. And if you've got a very good fighting rooster, if you've got a very good fighting rooster, then you might end up killing quite a few other people's roosters and taking a large amount of money home. As I understand it, these roosters even have razor blades attached to their feet, so that as they lift off and flap aggressively against the other bird, they could cut it and potentially kill it. So this is how the Lord was presenting this particular thing. I kept seeing a picture of two roosters next to each other, right? So they were next to each other, and then they would suddenly turn and go towards one another. Sorry. But that's what they were doing. So they were next to each other, and then they would just, so I kept seeing that picture for a little while, and then finally the prophecy was given to me. Prophecy: the United States and Iran are going to fight. Squabbles is the word that I heard. Quarrels is another word that I heard. First, I saw the two nations depicted as people. So I saw the United States in the Uncle Sam outfit, was a man this time, a man with the Uncle Sam beard and the hat, and came with a sound system painted in the United States colors and a bullhorn in the United States colors. And then another man came dressed in traditional Iranian garb, I would say, and he had the sound system in their colors and a bullhorn in their colors. And then they stood at opposite ends of a field, and they began to call out threats. They began to call out insults, louder and louder against one another. And then suddenly a blow was struck. Now, I didn't see who struck this blow, because when I looked again, they had turned into the two roosters, and these two roosters were lifting very high off the ground, very high off the ground. You have to understand, in cockfighting, it's not just the fact that your bird can scratch and claw at another bird. It's also that these birds are fed in such a way as to give them an impressive wingspan, so that when they spread their wings in front of another rooster, that rooster can potentially become intimidated and move back. So I saw these two large roosters leaping and fighting, trying to gain the upper hand over one another by striking, clawing, and pecking one another in a physical fight. So what I saw is that things moved from verbal to physical contact. And both of these roosters had a very high and impressive leap, so that no rooster had a clear win. And then all of a sudden, the conflict stopped. So just as suddenly as it started, escalating off of words, and then suddenly somebody struck a blow, just as quick as it started, it stopped. And so the feeling that I had watching this afterwards was that this would be like a sea fight, that this would be something will trigger this to do with the water, you know. So I don't know if they will dispute over water rights, or if it's ships that they will have an upset about. I'm not sure, but it will be a sea fight, a water fight. And the Lord said that blood will flow on both sides, but what this will cost America is actually in terms of shock. So what will shock America? What America's greatest loss in terms of this conflict will not be so much, will not be so much that maybe she has a large amount of soldiers die, but it will be that Americans and America herself, right? Her military industrial complex, so her warmongering side, will be shocked that Iran will actually step up. Because this is what I saw, that the Persians were fearless. They did not have fear. In fact, they had a fierce determination not to be beaten, not to be sidelined or disrespected any longer. So I saw Middle Eastern men, and their jaw was very firm, a very firm jaw of
and I already have explained it from years back faithfully, that if you have not read Isaiah chapter 6 verses 9 and 10, America is going to destroy you exactly where you stand. And America's not going to destroy you because America's against you. America's going to destroy you because you are her. You are her. You're full of her mind. You're full of her heart. You're full of her sickness. And if you don't struggle with all your might to get her infection out of you so that you can align with what it says in Revelation chapter 18 and verse 4, which is come out of her, my people. Then it will be very clear that at the end of time, when things happen to you, they happened to you not because God hated you, and they happened to you not because you never received a warning. They happened to you because you were never the people that he was talking to. When he said, come out of her, my people, you were never that bunch. You are the bunch who were supposed to stay here and perish of the things that are coming. Imagine I'm telling people that a civil war is coming. Imagine I'm telling people that America is going to get involved in conflicts with people like Iran and people like China. These are facts. That America is going to get involved on the back end of a bad conflict with Iran. We've seen conflict with Iran. This isn't my first rodeo. What happened here in 2025? That prophecy that I was talking about, the Lord gave it to me in March of 2022. And since then, America has tangled with Iran several times. And that prophecy from 2022 states that when the two nations conflict, America is going to come away the loser and Iran is going to be the one that draws blood. Iran attacked some American bases in other places, and they brought boys home under the flag. But Americans cannot hear. Americans cannot pay attention. So there's this thing that I see recurrently on this channel, which is that new people who don't know a thing about what I'm talking about will come, listen to me for a moment, and then all of a sudden, up comes their little diseased finger. But where are we supposed to go? The whole world is going to be like that. You need to buy a Bible. If you don't have a Bible, I advise you to reach out to a trusted adult in your life, whoever you are, male and female. Borrow a Bible from the Gideons, borrow a Bible from your best friend, order one from Amazon. Do the best that you can to help yourself, because there seems to be something going on in the minds of people who think that they are built to survive what is coming here.
It seems to them that, and the US president keeps saying this, the US Army is the strongest army in the world. The strongest army in the world may sometimes get slapped so hard that it cannot stand up straight. In one of his recent speeches, the US president said that for 47 years, the US has not been able to depose the Islamic Republic. He has complained to his own people that for 47 years, the US has not been able to depose the Islamic Republic. This is a good confession. I say that he will not be able to do this either.
It's time for war, Celestial. It's time for war against the greatest. Please bear in mind that God was talking to me and I was writing it down. It's time for war and to see who the ultimate winner will be. Time and circumstance, or the greatest country in the world, the greatest in doings, the greatest in sin, the greatest in compromising everything worthwhile for a little bit of pleasure and sin, the greatest in the works of the flesh that profit nothing, the greatest in lies, deception, and subterfuge. That is all coming out in the press now as people divulge everything they know about the jobs they were asked to do in secret to keep an administration that was faltering in place, falling down, yet making documentaries about being steadfast, steady, and the world leader. Isn't the party grand? Isn't the facade intact? Isn't the glass cracked, America? Can't everybody see through the window now, as I told you? I told you you would be naked and ashamed. I told you you would be booed off stage. I told you nations would get a whiff of your real scent, the stink and rotting meat, and immediately go off you like a woman who doesn't want a man anymore. Didn't I say it? Didn't I tell you your shame would be on top of the mountains for everyone to see it? And once people see what you're really about, they would leave you?
that Yah was laying on my heart when it comes to understanding the landscape of the year that we now find ourselves in. We're in the year 2026. 2026 was marked by the Lord in May of 2025 as the first of 2 years that are designated the United States of America war years. 2026 and 2027 are America's war years. And so I've explained in recent prophecies at the beginning of this year, what does that mean? That means that we will find ourselves in the culmination of many prophecies made in previous years, 2019, 2020, 2021, in which Yah says that for the antagonistic stance that the United States takes, for the antagonistic moves that America makes, America will find herself in conflict with many other nations, and it will come to a point where she herself will find herself pressured by what God has always referred to as the drums of war. Eventually, God has always said that America will have to pay a price for being a warmongering nation, for being a pirate nation, for being a nation that sanctions unjustly many other nations, a nation that slanders other nations, a nation that always provokes others, to the point that eventually America will find herself the focal point of those same attacks, of those same antagonistic advances. America will find herself at the end of the day surrounded. America will find herself at the end of the day facing opposition and aggressive pressure from many other nations, whether they're moving as a bloc or whether they're moving individually. America is eventually going to end up paying the same price that she has cost other countries. And so 2026 and 2027, the Lord spoke to me last year at basically just before the halfway point of the year, May 2025, and said to me that America's war years are starting. And then in about October, I got another prophetic message from the Lord saying that the war years are here. And this was in October 2025. So now, something that Yah put on my heart and spoke to me one Sunday. I was heading to church one Sunday and I was speaking to the Lord kind of lightheartedly, but also just expressing that 2025 had been quite a taxing year for me. It was a busy year for me. It was a demanding year for me. It was a year that had so many shifting plateaus, so much spiritual demand and natural demand in terms of all the things that I have to get done on a daily basis, as well as all the things that are required of me as a servant of the Lord, serving the Lord in the role of a prophet, bringing God's mind to the forefront so that people all over the world can understand that God is alive and that God does speak and that God does have a voice, that God is not dead, that no matter what some churches, some denominations, and even what some individuals may believe, that all prophecy stopped at the end of the Bible in the book of Revelation and that the Lord doesn't have a present voice. That is not true, and that is actually contrary to the promise of a God that says, I will not leave you and I will not forsake you. We cannot accept that we as Christians are expected by God to have a living faith, to constantly keep walking with God, but at the same time, then we also accept that this God that we have this living faith with, this living direction, doesn't speak any new information anymore. In fact, the conversation of Yah is never new. The prophecies that I have always relate to things that were proclaimed far back in historical times. We are now in the times when the historical things that are written by Daniel the prophet, things written by John the prophet in the book of Revelation, these things have now come into their fulfillment arc. And so what Yah does through me is shine a light on older prophecy to show this is where its relevance comes now. He also enlarges the picture so that many things carried in the word of God in cryptic ways or in very condensed ways have now become massively enlarged. And one of the